6 weeks master plan grand English speaking challenge where you are going to enter into the marathon of English speaking challenge. Yes, dear audience, you have to divide it in 6 weeks. There are 6 weeks activities, but stop. Before disclosing all the ingredients of this 6 weeks challenge, I want you to do one compulsory and mandatory thing. What is that? Every time, whenever you want to do anything, whenever you want to speak English language, you have a prescription in your hand in the form of reading, writing, listening, speaking. What kind of books you should study, what kind of listening you should adopt, whether you should listen podcast or TV shows, news, and if you are going to speak on which topics you should speak, and if you are going to write, what kind of topics you should choose to write. All these things you every time you cover, and there is a detailed schedule for your spoken English. There is a quick path, there is a systematic path to follow to speak English well. But one thing is missing. That thing should be included in your 6 weeks challenge. If you really want, and if you are really devoted and dedicated, disciplined, and you are passionate to speak English in just 6 weeks in 2024. What is that? It is so important. It is so important that without its entry into your 6 weeks challenge, you can't be a fluent English speaker within this short span of time. Because every time you have taken many challenges, you have watched many English videos where English trainers are giving you excellent plans to speak English well. In 7 days, in 30 days, in 50 days, in 6 weeks, in 8 weeks. There are many videos available on YouTube. But one thing is missing, and you have to include it in your challenge. And you have to display it on the wall where you sleep, in your bedroom or next to the mirror where you go often. It's compulsory. This is rule number 1, and you have to apply rule number 1. Before I disclose all the ingredients, before I disclose all the 6 weeks challenge which you are going to complete or accomplish, you have to fulfill it first. This is mandatory. Without it, no completion or no rewarding of anything. What is that? The secret is that now you have to take a detailed paper. It should be your evaluation report. It should be your progress report of previous years. Now, what you have to mention in that previous report? You should include for how many hours I have been procrastinating, how many times I got derailed from the path of progress you studied, how many times you procrastinated or you postponed your studying of English language, how many times you just created lame excuses, how many resources you utilized, how many YouTube English channels you have followed, how many times you just think that I should do this work tomorrow. Your procrastination, your management of resources, and how much time you have wasted while scrolling on the mobile phone. What kind of apps you have downloaded, what kind of social medias you are linked with, and how much time you are dedicating to these kind of social medias, how much time you are dedicating to WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, Reels, and scrolling YouTube videos, and how much time you are dedicating to your English language. Now, you have written all these points. You have to write all these points on the chart, heart chart. You have to buy the heart chart, and on the top of the heart chart you should write my progress report or my English progress report till now. My English progress report till now. You have to mention all these things systematically, one by one, and you have to mention the time duration. And after mentioning the time duration, what you are supposed to do, you have to calculate the time. Now you will get the idea how many hours, how many days, how many weeks you have wasted. It will give you two benefits. If you have utilized these hours, these months, these weeks, these will be a boosting power for you. They will boost up your morale. They will boost up your confidence. But if you have wasted all these things, all these years, all these weeks, and if you have just created lame excuses, if you have just procrastinated and you have wasted your precious time on social media a lot, then it will be an eye-opening prescription. It will be an eye-opening report for you. Every time you enter to your bedroom, every time you look into the mirror and you look at the wall where you have pasted that heart chart, you will come across that I have wasted all these things. I have not utilized. Now I have to utilize my things. I have to utilize my days, my weeks, my minutes, my seconds, each and every moment of my life, because I have wasted on all these things. I don't have to procrastinate anymore. So the very first thing you have to do is to prepare your own progress report. And now tell me, and then come back on this video and tell me in the comment section that ma'am, I have prepared my progress report. And if you are courageous enough, because it's a matter of courage that you are disclosing your progress report, you can also disclose your report in the comment section. Now, this is the very first thing. This is the very first thing to enter into the grand English speaking challenge. That can be called a master plan, that can be called a grand plan. Now, you have done your preparation. You are courageous, you are anxious. Whenever you lose your motivation, whenever you derail from your progress of English language, you just have to look at the mirror. You just have to look at your wall. Every time you enter into the room, every time you go out of your room, what you have to do, you have to look at the heart chart where you have written your progress report. Now you will be prepared that I will do my level best. I will try my level best. Now the second thing, the first week when you have done your level best, and you have to watch it every time. First week, very first challenge, and the very first challenge is the natural challenge. That is to listen. You have to listen for 7 days a week. First week is dedicated towards your listening. Why listening? Because up till now you have wasted your time, your precious time, because you have utilized your eyes. You are receiving English language. You are receiving English knowledge, English speaking knowledge through your eyes. But eyes are often deceptive. This is the wrong methodology, because we have been listening, we have been understanding English language to the native perspective. So not the English language, but the native language is entering into your ears. Now it's the right time to change your methodology of learning English language. Absorb English language. Absorb, just like a child. You have to act like a child. Just listen and listen English language. It's up to you whether you listen podcast, news, TV shows, movies, anything. But I recommend you the best source is to listen podcast and news, because they keep you updated, they keep you well informed about what's going on in the world. Now it's the preparational period. It's a prep period where you are preparing yourself, and you are preparing your ears to receive. You are preparing your mind to receive English language. You are preparing your organs to speak English language, to listen English language, to see English language, to absorb English language, to formulate English language, and to think in English. This is very much important. When you are listening continuously, and you have to listen at least for 40 minutes, you have to decide whether you are listening in the evening time, whether you are listening in the morning time, whether you are listening in the at night. It's up to you. But when you decide the time, then you should stick to that time, whether it is morning, whether it is night, whether it is afternoon or noon. It's up to you. Whenever you can spare your time, at least 40 minutes. And very important thing, week 1, challenge 1. Now after listening, and if you are listening for 1 minute, you have to speak from the very first day. If you are really passionate, because speaking is excluded, speaking is not being practiced in our schools, in our educational system, we have to incorporate it. We have to include it in each week challenge. So from the very first day, from the very first challenge of listening, you have to start speaking. First listen, then reproduce in your own word what you have listened. What you have listened in the podcast, in the movies, in the news, in the TV shows, in the dramas, whatever you are listening, you have to reproduce. You have to summarize. If you are watching a news, you have to act like a newscaster. If you are watching a podcast, you have to act the characters of the podcast and reproduce all the thoughts, information, and very important thing is that you have to note down the very difficult words and expressions, slangs, and even the sentence patterns which are above your head. You have just to write down what kind of things: vocabulary, expression, slangs, sentence patterns. Done. Week number 1 is over. Week number 2 is a big challenging, where you are exposed to reading, because reading makes you a full man. Whatever you want to convey, you need reason, you need logic, you need information. So logic, reasons, information, argument, a sense of arguments, how to do the argument, how to convey the information, what kind of reasons you have to adopt, what kind of resources you have to utilize to make your argument authentic one. All this is through reading. So reading is just like a cement. It's just like the cement. So the second week is dedicated towards your reading, and you can read romantic, suspense, detective, traveling, cooking, politics, international affairs, democracy, whatever you want to read. It can be productive reading, personality development, or any kind of thing you can read. You have to read of your own choice, and you have to read at least for 50 minutes a day. Yes, dear audience, 50 minutes a day. And after reading, what you have to do, you have to summarize. You have to reproduce actually. First you are a reader, then you are at the point to reproduce. You have to act like the character of that book and reproduce in your own word what you have read. It will give you a flow. Now you are noticing that I have included speaking in each week challenge, because speaking is mandatory. You have to start your speaking from the very first day to the last day. It should be the continuing process. Now comes the week number 3. Week number 3 is very important. You have noted words, vocabulary, expressions, slangs, and word and sentence patterns which were difficult for you to understand. In reading, you did the same. Now comes the week number 4. Now you have a long list of expressions, slangs, vocabulary, words, each and everything. Enough material. You can say enough material. Now you have to explain it. You just have to explain it. Explain. And you can take the help of Google and a dictionary to explain the concepts, to explain the expressions, slangs and vocabulary. You have done this. After explaining it, you have to utilize, and very important thing is that how can you remember the vocabulary? Vocabulary is often depleted. Your mind is just like a bucket with a hole. Now you have to patch up the hole. How can you patch up the hole? You have to link the vocabulary words, most of the words, with the stories, because when you connect it with the stories, with life stories, what happens that it can continue, it can be stayed for you with a longer period of time. Second thing you have to do is to review it time and again, because when we do not revise and review anything, it can be depleted, it can be erased, it can be deleted from our memory. And the third method is to teach it to someone. If there is no one, just teach it to yourself. How to teach it to yourself? Just explain what is that word. For example, if I say drain out, if I just have read this word drain out, I will explain it myself. When you are no more energetic, when your energy is going to be depleted, when your energy is going to be finished and you are no more energetic, this condition is called drained out. I worked so hard that I drained out. Number 3, week is very important. Now comes towards the 4th week. And the 4th week is more challenging. It's more challenging because we are stepping towards the difficult and the most difficult things, because we are gradually progressing from simple towards the difficult thing. Now comes the grammar portion, a horrifying concept for most of you. But what you have to do, you have to go into the basic grammar, and you have to make your excellence in 3 tenses, because these 3 tenses make the 90% of English language. And what are those? Simple present, simple past and simple future tense. Simple present tense to describe your daily routines, daily events, your habits. Simple past to describe your past events, and simple future tense is to make predictions, to describe about what you are going to plan in future. Now you have to make preparation. You can solve the exercises of grammar. You can also make translations from your native language to English language, and you can solve these practices of simple present, simple past and simple future. You have done. Solving the exercises is very important. Solving the paragraphs of your native language into English language is very important. Why it is important? Because it will give you vocabulary, it will give you the concepts, it will give you information. Now comes the point of speaking. Yes, speaking is also here. Whatever you have got from those paragraphs of translation from the native to the English language, utilization of information and vocabulary, expressions, sentence patterns, now you have to gather all these things and just reproduce. What I am suggesting on reproduction, to rethink. This is the very strong methodology to train your mind to speak in English language, from the very first stage to the last stage. Now comes the 6th and the final week, very exciting week, and it's 5th week. And 5th week is dedicated towards your writing. Yes, writing is very important. Why it is important? If you want to be an accomplished speaker, confident communicator, a fluent English speaker, where there is coherence in your speaking skills, when you are systematic, when there is a proper flow of your thoughts, how do this happen, or how does this happen? It can be only happen when you have a writing practice, because when you are writing you have enough time to think about the vocabulary, expressions, slangs, sentence patterns which you have listened, which you have read, which you have done during the grammar exercises. And you can take the help of vocabulary list which you have prepared earlier, and you have explained it to yourself if you have built a connection to the with the story. Now it's the time, it's the right time, it's the excellent time to utilize all these things in your writing skill. Whatever you have read, there is no dearth of information. Whatever you have read, whatever you have listened, just reproduce them, just give them a shape in your own words on the paper. It will be a booster to your mind to think in English, actually cementing your thoughts in English language. Now comes the 6th week, the final weeks, and the final weeks is also of a final weeks always comes with speaking. Now you have noticed that you are speaking from the very first stage to the last stage. In speaking portion 6th week, you have to utilize all the techniques. Whether it is picture depiction, I have made a video on how to speak. You can also practice shadowing and mirror talk, talk to yourself, pick a topic and give your own thoughts. You can also read a topic and then deliver your own thoughts. You have to utilize all the techniques to speak English well, and it's a grand marathon of English speaking challenge. You have to adopt it, and the very first requirement which I have mentioned at the earlier of the video is compulsory if you want to enter into this video. So if you have watched till now, congratulations, because these concepts are very important, and if you utilize these concepts for 6 weeks continuously, I am sure that you will not be demotivated in any moment of time, because we can be motivated in 1 week, but after 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, we get demotivated. But if you have pasted that English report chart on your wall and you are looking at that chart time and again, you are giving a red signal to your mind that these are my weak areas. I have not worked on these areas. Now it's the time to utilize 2024 and be fluent in English during this year. So till the next, if this video is informative for you, please like, share and hit that bell icon, because it motivates me to make much more informative videos with so much energy for you guys. So till the next video, stay happy, stay blessed. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.